Hey guys, Malin Rogers from Thomasville Lodge number 214 in Thomasville, North Carolina. Proud clown with the Oasis Shrine Clown Unit out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Just want to tell you guys that you're my favorite Central PA-based Masonic podcast with hosts named Pete and Larry. Please keep up the so-so work. Take care.
You're listening to the Masonic Light Podcast. Starring Pete Ruggieri, Larry Maris, and Jason Lewis. This podcast is not endorsed by any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous ramblings of the hosts are their own. So sit back and enjoy some Masonic conversation without pretension. And now, here's your hosts, Pete, Larry, and Jason.
Hey, and we're back, episode 34.
It feels like 33.
Wow, well, that was 7 minutes ago.
I'm much older now.
So yeah, we haven't done anything because we just recorded. If for some reason you didn't listen to episode 33 and you're listening to episode 34,
we're
not much has changed.
We're on vacation.
Yeah, we're on vacation. We're recording two shows back to back.
Yes, we are.
So
let's go to break.
We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with our topic, which is...
Our topic is fundraising, that's F-U-N, hyphen draising, D-R-A-S-I-N-G, putting the fun back in fundraising.
That's a pun, by the way.
Fun back in fundraising. No, it's a good topic. It's a good title, though. What works when we do fundraising, what we like, what we wish we did differently, or what we wish we didn't do at all. We'll be back.
Hey, and we're back. And so, Larry, you came up with this ridiculously fun idea, drazing. We're going to talk about drazing.
Drazing. No, actually, it's not my idea. It's Jason Lewis's idea.
We just threw in a hat, and that's the one that Larry picked.
Okay, so Larry, what do you think about fundraising, and how can we make it more fun?
What do I think about fundraising? I absolutely hate it. Okay. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm really an old-fashioned Mason, and I think most of the lodges I belonged to in my life really didn't do it. And we took care of our brothers. We had funds available to do that. And I moved up to Pennsylvania. I joined the lodge, and within the past 10 years alone, we've been kind of going crazy on raising money for different projects, a lot of which really aren't attached to our lodge. Like everybody does a fundraising project in the Lancaster area, and parts of it always go to the Fund for Dyslexia. Well, that's a Scottish Rite a project, but all the Blue Lodges are getting involved in raising money for the Scottish Rite projects, and not that there's anything wrong with it. It just puts a certain amount of burden on everybody. And I'm just not really very supportive of, and I shouldn't say I'm not supportive of, because I do attend the functions, I do buy the subs, I do go to the dinners, grudgingly, but I do support it. But I'm not, I just have a hard time with it.
Where's the fun, Larry?
There is no fun in fundraising.
Jason, do you have anything to offer?
Submarine that topic right
because
there.
we don't want two negative people back to back.
Oh.
So you and Jack will have to be the little blip of optimism.
I don't think that fundraising to put money in your coffers is fun at all. I do think, though, that the spirit of that topic was how do we make fundraising fun, not to just sit and poo-poo. We all get it. Like eating pies and making pies and buying subs and eating subs is played out and old and boring. That wasn't necessarily the spirit of the idea. The spirit of the idea was, what could we do differently to get people involved? And, do we continue to do the same like Grotto, right? Because Grotto struggles for the humanitarian foundation because health insurance is doing a lot of the work that we used to do. You know, a lot of people support the Dyslexia Center. A lot of people support whatever. All the dependent bodies have their own, you know, big group that they donate to. You know, but how do you get people to do something fun together that benefits other people? That was kind of my thought process.
Jack, you have any thoughts on this topic?
What first thing comes to my mind was a project that came up at my lodge years and years ago. One of the members brought up a scout troop in the area that needed a new roof on their building. So the lodge said, "No, we can't do that. We'll have every scout troop in the whole county coming to us for money and rah, rah, rah." And I said, "Well, I think that's a great project. We should do that. But we don't have to use lodge money to do that. Let's have a thing and let's raise the money." So I came up with the idea of renting a sort of a family fun park over in Lidditz, up north, 501 from Lidditz, High Sports. And we rented it for a day. We paid them for the day, and then we set up a ticket booth at the gate and gave people wristbands, and you can do anything you want all day long for one price coming through the gate. It was great. Go-karts, mini golf, driving range, all that, batting cages, all that stuff. You do all you want all day long, one flat price. And the first year, it was pretty successful. And we raised the money, and that's kind of what we intended to do. We got guys from the lodge involved. We got families involved. We got local baseball teams involved. We got a couple of scout organizations involved. And we raised the money, and we called the scout troop that we raised the money for, and we said, "Hey, we got the money for your roof." And they said, "Oh, we already did that."
Nice. Well, let's get a keg.
So we didn't need that anymore. But the idea was born, and we did it for a couple of years. And each year, it was less and less attended. Fewer and fewer people came. Fewer and fewer people helped. Less and less money was made until it's finally just we didn't do it this year because it got stale. And these things that used to catch and become annual events that people would relish, they just don't happen anymore. It's very rare that you can get something to catch and continue year after year. The Lodge in the Woods is a good example. We have to really push those ticket sales, and I'm astounded that we have to push those ticket sales because that is a really fun night. Now that's one that we raise money for the Grand Masters Initiative. So once the administrative costs are paid, all the surplus money goes to the Grand Masters Initiative. So it goes back to, why do we do these things? Do we do them for fellowship events? In which case we're probably overcharging for those things. Or do we do them to raise money? In which case we keep going back to tap the same people over and over again because it's the same 35 or 40 people that are going to participate every time. So I don't know. I think we missed the mark.
I think we need to separate two things. I would never want to see a fundraiser for operation of the lodge. That means your dues aren't high enough. So the only purpose I see for a fundraiser is if you decide you want to help somebody or buy something that's not in the budget and it's like not mandatory for every brother. So I'm cool with that. And to make it fun, I see the guys over in York, they do the polar bear plunge every year where they jump into the dirty Susquehanna. I mean, honestly, if you're going to get in the Susquehanna, get into there's probably fewer diseases in January.
Wait till it's really cold. Yeah.
But, that's kind of unique and fun. I do a huge fundraiser for the mounted police here every year. And I think last year we raised like $28,000 or something.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
One of those things that caught, right?
And it's rare. But once again, this we do something where I got all the bars downtown involved, and we're raising money for horses and dogs of the police department. And everybody dresses up in weird Santa Claus stuff, and it's called the Santa Stumble, and we go downtown, we drink, and it's fun. And somehow it's just gotten crazy. But because we're Freemasonry, we can't really associate ourselves with an alcoholic event like that. So, that's, I don't know. That's a little bit of the challenge.
No, but there are, DMLA does the dodgeball, and for them, that's a huge event. And it certainly doesn't raise the kind of money that Santa Stumble does, but it certainly has that same kind of spirit. The kids come out and they want to play dodgeball, and they get to throw dodgeballs at fat, old, out-of-shape guys and get a laugh. And, I think that those kind of events are, I think we all agree. I'm not a proponent of doing a big fundraiser to put in the lodges, bankroll. Some lodges have to. Most of our lodges are lucky enough that we don't have to.
Every once in a while, you got to put a bunch of money into the roof. You got to replace the air conditioners. You got to do all that stuff. And that's, if you don't really carefully budget for that stuff, then you've got to some way, somehow or another, raise the money to do it. There's a lot of buildings that are being shut down, mothballed, sold off because there isn't enough money to run them. So it's a difficult thing, but fun. Let's go to fun. Where's the fun? Golf outings are fun.
For people to golf, yeah, absolutely.
For people to golf. For people that don't golf, they can drive the carts. Here's another opportunity for Jason to drive the carts.
They can drive the carts. If you don't like pie or hoagies, then don't make the pies and don't make the hoagies.
Right.
The fun part that as I said, I like to participate in it. I'll spend the money. I support it. But the organizing, the structure, putting everything together, that is the difficult part. You talk about the golf outing. It takes probably 50, 60 guys to put this thing together and make that work.
Got it.
You
That's
talk
great.
About,
that's great fellowship if you can pull it off.
You talk about now your lodge in the woods. It's huge. It's big. I don't know what kind of money you guys earn after the sales and everything like that. But that takes a lot of people power, a lot of manpower to do that. It's a structure. It's hard work. To me at my age, work is no fun at all anymore. But
I think one of the challenges is, and maybe for people that are in lodges that are in more remote areas where they don't have a lot of other appendant bodies that they belong to, but everybody at this table is in multiple appendant bodies, and every single appendant body wants to do either the regular meetings plus a social event or a fundraiser, and you kind of have to pick and choose. And I'm a bad Mason in most of the bodies because I don't help out, and I don't, other than buy a hoagie or buy chicken corn soup, I don't help out at all with the Scottish Rite.
But that's what we talked about 2 episodes ago. But you do. You pay your dues.
You pay your dues and you buy a pie. Hey, that's more than a pretty large percentage of people.
We need that.
Pretty fun to eat the pie,
and the pies are amazing.
Oh, the pies are. Oh, I love the pies. I love everything. I like what we do. My part of the lack of fun is the structuring and the organizing, the amount of work it takes. And like you said earlier, it's usually 5 or 10 guys that have the burden of doing all of that. And that's not fun.
I look back to my college days. I was in a small local fraternity, and we were forced, because we were part of the college, we had to do something that was socially beneficial other than like water the plants out behind our apartment. So
fertilize and water.
Yeah. So we did a sale where we sold fruit baskets. But it was kind of a cool event because the night when we made all the fruit baskets, we made it a party, and everybody in the fraternity showed up, and we had music and we had cold beverages, and we all that night got all the work done while we were having fun. And so that's how I think we can put the fun in there.
I think the guys that make the pies and they make the hoagies, they have a blast. That's one.
They do. Everybody that helps out with the pies for my lodge talks about helping out with the pies, and it is fun. And I've made the pies.
I did it once, and because I was like the junior person by about 40 years, I got stuck with the heavy lifting of putting things in and out of the oven.
That is not.
It was
fun.
not fun, and it's big commercial ovens with big commercial. It's not like your little tray you have at home. It's a tray that holds like 8 pies.
Yeah.
And I got so many burns, and you don't look like a sissy. These guys are old, but they're like badasses. They were all like World War II and Korea vets. So like I don't look like a wimp in front of them. So like I'm getting burned, and I'm like I gotta just bite my lip.
For our Pennsylvania and non this area Masons, the pie sale is big Scottish Rite fundraiser in the Lancaster area. Like Harrisburg does a golf outing, but Pies is a pretty infamous one here. So if you could do a fun fundraiser, what would your fun fundraiser be? Doesn't matter what the charity is for. A Masonic one.
I went to something around here for when I first moved to Lancaster County. I was invited to something called a block shoot. I'm like, what is that? Is that basketball? Are you throwing? What's going on here? And like, no, we get together at 7:00 in the morning at this VFW, and you shoot shotguns at blocks of wood. And if you have the most pellets closest to the X, you win meat. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's firearms, alcohol,
and meat.
Like,
that's like 3 food groups.
I mean, with that, like, is like the most manly event, and still be married. I mean, you know, like, no, there's ladies present, our wives, but I mean, but it's fun. It's a fun day, and everybody looks forward to it because it's something you can't just go do in your yard unless you're in a really rural area. So,
and what's your most enjoyable current fundraiser that we do? Is that a trick question?
Phase. Wah, wah.
I don't have a fun fundraiser that we do in any of the bodies. It's like, here's a bunch of raffle tickets, sell them, and then you don't sell them and you buy them yourself.
Oh yeah, we're not being negative. I agree. That's lame. Well, do you know how many times the Shrine has called me since I've joined? Sorry, Shrine, calling you out. 0. You know how many raffle tickets I'm supposed to sell that I get in the mail? More than 0.
Oh, I get a call from, I forget what her name is, the autopilot that calls to try and get me to buy a thing in the Shrine yearbook. You know, it's the same thing like from your high school or college yearbook.
You do the Tall Cedars ones though, and you know what? Those Tall Cedars ones are great because that's a great.
Okay, so
charity.
here's the fun one. The fun one is we do this thing called the Rose Sale, and we stand in the foyer of a upscale grocery store, and we have these cheap little silk roses, and we ask anybody that wants to make a donation to MDA, we'll give them a rose. Half the people give us money and don't even want the rose, and just because they want to help the charity. And it's low pressure. We're not harassing people, and it's kind of fun because there's 2 or 3 of us there, and we get to chit chat with each other, and yeah, I mean that's kind of fun. So, Jack, do you have any fun things?
No.
The Lodge in the Woods is your baby.
Right, but, you know, it kind of goes, a little bit of this goes back to what we talked about, I don't know, 3-4 episodes ago about charity. And the Blue Lodge is not by its charter a charitable organization. It's an organization that teaches people to be charitable. So go ye into the world and be charitable. But it's not incumbent on the lodge to do those things.
No,
we're supposed to be, you know, charitable to our members and our widows and orphans, but in terms of that greater good, that's why Tall Cedars does MDA, and that's why Scottish Rite does the learning centers, and that's why every one of the appendant bodies has an associated charity, because that's not Blue Lodge's job. Blue Lodge's job is to direct you towards that thing.
Is to make Masons to be future salesmen.
Well, yeah, and we have trustees to watch our assets. I mean, you guys did a fundraiser out of your lodge, but it was for your Almoners Fund, which is to take care of members, and that was, I mean, that's great. You should do that because the other option is to have an assessment.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you can call it a fundraiser, but we just bought a bunch of beer mugs, and we're going to buy some, you know, hats, T-shirts, all kinds of stuff for our 150th anniversary. But you actually get something. So it's not like we're just raising money. But the idea is if we can raise a couple $1,000s, that's all going to be spent on throwing a really nice event. Because, you know, the Grandmaster is going to attend. And, you know, we don't want him just to. Yeah, so. Larry, you hate everything.
I do.
So,
you know, I apologize. I didn't mean to talk over you, Pete. There was a period of time when I was a professional fundraiser as a living. for about 10-year period. And I actually, when I opened my marketing business up, part of that was doing fundraising for institutional fundraising for like Lititz Rec Center, capital campaigns and things like that for the dog and cat people over on Route 30. I did their fundraising campaign, things like that. So I was one of those that from the ground up built the organization to raise a lot of money. And I know what it takes. And because I know what it takes, I'm just one of those that stands back and says, I can't do this anymore.
Anymore, right? But you did for a while.
Did for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is a part of what we're seeing now is that the guys who did it forever aren't going to be able to do it forever. And the guys that are younger coming in haven't done anything for more than 3 years in their entire lives.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different way of coming
Maybe we can
through.
get our audience to participate, like, because there's cool things going on, like the virtual lodge.
Both of you, get out there and participate in. Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah. But no, like we're talking about the virtual lodge. We're talking about podcast. There's a whole, and I mean, we range in this room from 28 to.
What?
How old are you?
28.
I'll be 40 soon.
40. Okay, 40. Larry, you're what? 97.
Yeah.
Hey, God, bonus.
It's all the baby fat people.
Right. So we're 40 to 80 in this room, and when I still think we're the younger, more progressive.
Including the 80.
Yeah.
Young and progressive, Larry. You got it going on,
Actually,
buddy.
please, it's 70, not 80.
Pete, I think you're right. I mean, I think that
Your shoes are 80.
The challenge is going to be that some of these, you're not going to get a lot of young guys out at a golf outing. You're not going to get a lot of young guys, making food or slinging food.
Right. So the young guys, you need to help us come up with some ideas that you and your friends would show up and want to do.
You know what I would do? We should throw a fair, right? A district-wide fair and have some fun and some games, a poker table. Obviously, we're not playing for real money. Maybe there's meat, but we need to have a dunk at the district deputy. I mean, imagine if like a grandmaster, a grand line officer had a big to do, and
Jay would do it.
Jay would do it. Yeah.
Humility is also a part of what we do. But man, you could sell like, $20 for 3 balls. Everybody would line up for, and of course we would throw black balls. But $20.
Yuck. Funny.
But can you imagine a dunk tank with a grand officer or a district deputy? It would be fun. I'd spend $20.
If we can get trustees on there for the Masonic Center, that'd be good too.
Indeed, that would work. Yeah.
All right, guys, let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back with some more, Seth Anthony?
Yeah, Seth is coming back.
Yep. So
More news.
And so stay
What's
tuned.
first though? Seth?
Seth's going to be first.
All right.
You're about to enter
Corpora Obscura.
the realm of weird fraternal organizations.
Leave your Freemasonry behind.
Prepare to meet druids, caliphs, and wild creatures.
Knock thrice.
And enter at your own risk. Good day, podcast listener. Everyone knows the story of King Arthur, right? Well, what happens when Masons take this story, add a dash of biblical lore, and a Freemason's flair for ritual? Why, you get the ancient order of Knights of the Mystic Chain. Founded by Freemasons in 1871, the group had a strong Masonic influence in its rituals and degrees, as well as incorporating elements from the Bible and Arthurian legend. The Knights were organized on 3 levels. Local units were called subordinate castles. State or regional groups were grand castles, and the highest authority was, you guessed it, the Supreme Castle. Reflecting the Masonic background of its founders, the Knights of the Ancient Order of the Mystic Chain worked 3 degrees. The first was the White or Esquire degree, which was based on the story of the Good Samaritan. The Sir Knights or Blue degree was based on Arthurian legend. The third was the Red or Round Table degree, which emphasized the certainty of death. There was also a uniformed Mark degree open to past officers of subordinate castles, and a Supreme degree conferred by the Supreme Castle. In 1890, a female auxiliary called the Naomi or Daughters of Ruth degree was founded. Originally, this was controlled by the Supreme Castle, but later became autonomous. Popular along the eastern seaboard, and especially in eastern Pennsylvania, The group flourished during the golden age of fraternalism, but started to die out around the time of the Great Depression. Today, it is presumed that the order is extinct. Want to know more? You can learn about historic fraternal groups and the effect they had on America by visiting and supporting the J.H. Rathbone Museum, located in Lafayette, Indiana, and on the web at www.jhrathbonemuseum.org.
This is Dave Korb, Master of Star Lodge 187 F&AM in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. I listen to Larry, Jason, and Jack on the Masonic Light podcast. Oh yeah, and Pete too, because there's nothing else to do when cruising the interstates in Ohio.
Good news, everyone!
Masonic Light News. News not fit to print.
A riot broke out at Parsimonious Lodge number 5 in Frugal, Ohio, when it was discovered that the secretary had been mailing meeting notices to 6 brothers who had passed away several years previously.
I didn't know they were gone,
said Brother Harry Inkman, past master and secretary.
We keep getting dues checks, so I just keep mailing the notices.
A motion was made that Brother Inkman should compensate the lodge for stamps, but as the deceased brothers were still paying their dues, the matter was dropped. That's the Masonic news. So mote it was.
We had that at a council meeting at council last time. The head guy was like, "Yeah, any sick or distressed brethren?" And somebody goes, "Well, Brother Bob Weaver passed," and like, oh, and half the room's like, oh, and then finally somebody goes like, "He passed about 2 years ago." Yeah. I said, anyway, I mean, they meant well.
Or drops from the rolls of
They
any
meant
lodge.
well.
I can't open this, Pete.
Here, give it to me.
Pete, well, I just chewed it all up.
Use my teeth.
Pete brought us freeze pops.
Here,
And
I'm
now
going to use my teeth, so watch.
But they're like bulletproof freeze pops that can't be opened in.
There's not any abscess tooth on this, is there?
No.
Are we ready to get out of here?
Yeah.
We're eating freeze pops.
Yeah, because we already know. If you listen to the end of the last episode, we'll tell you what we're doing in the next 2 weeks, which is nothing.
Yeah.
So, Larry,
exactly.
take us out of here.
It's time to go home, guys. Give me some music. I want to thank Monarch Studios for allowing us to stay the extra hour tonight. Our producer, Jason Lewis, who caused all this mayhem. Thank you very much. Jack Harley, our news director. R.C. McCorvey, brother on the street. We need to hear from you, R.C. And to Seth Anthony, who is Corpus Obscurum, and I forgot to thank him the last time. But Seth, thanks so much for all the help that you give us and all the direction and all the ideas that you present to us. You're a genius. We love you. Also, too, I want to thank our director of clandestine meetings, Ron DeVue.
Nice.
Our director of staff bonuses. By the way, staff bonuses? Highly unlikely. And our help desk coordinator, Dan DeFino. Our law firm of Rush and Delay. And
Jason's choking on a freeze pop.
What do you call an elephant and a rhinoceros that have a baby?
Elvino.
Anyway, this is Larry Maris.
I'm Pete Ruggieri.
Jason Lewis.
What's left of Jack Harley?
And we'll see you in a month.
Have a good one.